One moment. Apologies for today, we're having some technical difficulties. I've just kind of yet to give up with trying to get parts of the stream going today. We'll be getting into the game shortly. Today we are in Dune Awakening. I apologise for the last couple of days. I haven't been very well, so I obviously didn't run the stream while I'm ill in bed. But today I am back, and we will be continuing once I just get a few technical issues out of the way, because I decided to update some software, and in my short sight I didn't test it after doing said update. Let's just say I ran into a couple of issues today that I wasn't expecting. But hey ho. We'll hopefully get things running soon. I'll work out what the hell is going on. Okay, we are getting somewhere. First I'm wondering, like, why does my camera not even show? But I worked out that. Okay, we will eventually get somewhere. And my voice is a bit screwed at the moment. It's the nicest way to put it. Camera should be sorted. Okay, let's get the game sorted. I actually do have the game running. I should have guessed that it had some problems. Because the other stream, I haven't got around to doing it, but I've been doing GTA streams and they didn't experience any issue, but they actually did fall to the fallback, which I only noticed the other day, and I meant to fix it and I haven't. So I need to fix that, because at the moment paused the music just to see whether or not stuff was coming through. So if it's like the game catcher is capturing the audio but not the visual, that makes tons of sense. Give me a live troubleshooting session that you get to see today, not the game. One thing I have resolved. So the one thing I was actually meant to do since the last stream, I haven't done, but I have actually done some other things that improve things. Classical way. hope you're loving the Christmas tunes. We will get in the game at some point. But I work out what the hell's going on. I don't even know why it's not. Why? I think we'll just have to do this the messy way. Okay, I'm gonna slowly get each of you into this. Okay, so I think I've got everyone apart from those that are on Twitch. Oh, that's not Twitch, X. Twitch, I was thinking Twitter. I don't know why. Like I mentioned, I've got problems with Facebook, so anyone on Facebook, sorry. Not much I can do. I've had enough with fighting with Facebook for today. I'm going to be seeing live changes because I can't do transition into what I've made for you guys, so you just have to see what I see because this is a live canvas, so everything I do is literally edited live and shows live. He's like keeps trying to snuff in. Not what I want. And I'll do. Okay, we've now got backup for this as well now. Okay, so welcome to today's stream. As you would have noticed, I have changed the title, I think, of most of the streams. If there isn't a stream I haven't changed the title on yet, I will change the title on it after the stream. Effectively today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be assessing exactly how to change this base into the main base of operations. As you'll all be aware, Dune Awakening is about to go through what will be a radical, massive change, and it's already gone through a number of changes. One of those changes was us now being able to take the Ornithopter carrier out to the deep desert whilst carrying a buggy or other things, and effectively that allows us to now, when they bring out the container, which is supposed to be coming out this month, to fundamentally take out something that will hold a capacity of 15,000 units, which is huge. Effectively, what that means is it's going to change how, or the actual need really for a deep desert base. Up to now, you get a massive discount for building in a deep desert, and that is a great thing to have, because those that are willing to go up to the deep desert, and an encouragement to go to deep desert, it means that you can actually build things for half the price that it costs to build in this area that I'm in now, which is the main area where you get taxed as well on building here and having a building here. However, this building you can have here, whilst you get taxed on it, it stays here and you don't have to worry about any Cronus wipes or anything like that. So from that perspective, it's really good. But if you build in like here, you have got taxes, but one thing you don't have to worry about is that Cronus wipe. So out in a deep desert, it's kind of like you've got two kind of scenarios now, or two different things as to why you might want to build in the deep desert. For me, I like building out in the deep desert, and I like having a base of operations out there because it gives you somewhere to come back to when you're in the middle of doing stuff. I will still have a deep desert base, but the one fundamental difference that I've had a lot of contemplation with is whether I have a deep desert base that is a fully functional base of operations, that being it has all the facilities to allow you to do everything out there without having to come back to Haga Basin. I've now got to the stage where, after a lot of contemplating and idea throwing around, I'm not going to be building a deep desert base anymore, apart from one of which just to have storage and literally a place to put an ornithopter whilst I'm there. But other than that, I'm not building anything with any facilities in it, and that's because I have more than enough to build all of this components and facilities here in Haga Basin. And once you get to where I am in the game, which is pretty deep in the end game, you'll have that much spice that basically you don't know what to do with it, is where I've got to. So, and I've got like even advanced, like you can notice now my character now is wearing a helmet, because I actually quite like this helmet, by the way. It's quite a dandy helmet, but this is an advanced tier 6 helmet, not one of the base tier 6 helmets. This is one of the improved ones that you get from the blueprints that you can find. Same with the top and a couple of other items as well. He hasn't got full tier 6 at the moment, but he's got a mix of tier 6 elite end stuff and the normal and tier 5 stuff. I haven't got full tier 6 yet, just because I'm contemplating what parts I am going to mix this with. I've noticed a number of players effectively mixing what they kind of have with their tier 6 stuff. Generally, from what I've seen from a lot of PvP players, is they will generally go with a heavy armor chest plate. That's kind of almost a given. But then when it comes to the rest of it, the other item they normally tend to do heavy as well are the legs. That's because these two items here have the highest armor rating, and effectively you kind of like want to counter some of the buffs that you get from these And effectively what players are doing is effectively using light armor for the hands, feet and head in order to kind of mitigate and give themselves benefits back that they're losing from having the heavy armor here. Because one of the biggest things that you get penaltied for in this is dash stamina cost, and some of the things that players will try and get back through having the light armor is those light armor items tend to have the stamina boosts, things that kind of, if you had just the light gear, you would have loads more stamina than a normal player. However, if you kind of intermix it, you kind of bring your stamina levels somewhere near where they were originally, but then you get all the protection benefits. And you may also get some other things as well. It just depends which you mix in from the light armor as to what bonuses you actually get from that. So yeah, that's kind of like where I am with regards to that. I've built 2 of the elite versions of the tier 6 stuff, and I've left these tier 5 ones there for now, just while I kind of decide what I'm going to do. Whether because I've got a heavy helmet, because I do really like this helmet, I'm contemplating whether to have light for the rest of it, or whether I should maybe go with heavy legs and then just try and get as much back as I can through having light hands and feet. But I'll see what I'm going to do with regards to that. I don't actually have the heavy pants at the moment. It's practically one of the only components I don't have, that and the feet. I have the hands, but I don't really want to do the hands because I've already kind of decided that, yeah, I will go with lights for that to try and get the bonuses back however I can through that. But yeah, I'm not sure with regards to the feet either. Like, the feet definitely are going to be light, but there are a couple of options of which to choose from, and it just depends on what I can get my hands on, either through finding myself in a deep desert, which is generally what I've done so far. I've not bought any of these blueprints. I've just been lucky in checking down ships, doing treasure hunting and stuff like that, and I've got most of my blueprints just through doing that stuff. So it's really hard to really say what I'll get at the moment, because it really just depends on luck. And yeah, I will buy some in the market if those do come available on the market that I'm after, but we'll see how that goes, and how much they cost. So far on my server, I've seen these just the blueprints that being selling for about half a million, so they are quite pricey. The light armor stuff I've seen wasn't as pricey, but none of it I don't think was super rare kind of tier 6 blueprints. So well, I'll just have to see what goes on with regards to that stuff, and yeah, I suppose whatever I can get my hands on depends on what I do with that, or whether in the short term whether I just build the tier 6 stuff. But for now, what I'm going to do is I want to change this base, and effectively at the moment this base is, well, it was always restricted, because when I first started building here back at the very start, this area was absolutely packed out with players everywhere. I mean, everywhere you looked, there were buildings all around here. As you can now see, it's dead. There's not one player anymore. The last neighbor I had was literally next door to me, who was the person that was really locking me into where I was, even though everyone else had disappeared. They've now kind of disappeared as well, and their base did last month. And as soon as their base disappeared, I purchased land expanding, and I can now build that way, which you can see now. So that's all kind of much bigger that way. One other thing I do want to do, if I can, which I haven't tested yet, but I do want to just double check. I've got 2 options, I think, with regards to where we're at the moment. As you can see, I can build really far out. But what I am thinking of doing is building down from where I am now. because you can see I've got this on that area, which I built out the other day. It was really challenging actually, because I could extend this one out, but to extend that one out I couldn't actually placing it down, so I cleverly came up with a way of using another sub thief that was just outside range to allow me to build up, so that I could then take away that land sub thief and then have something to place the land extender on, because the land extender has to be within the intended area land that you're in, but that's like nowhere's land, so I had to build up a level somewhere so that I could actually place this land extender on. But what I want to do, I think, is extend downwards, because I can only build height wise one more before I reach the maximum height extension. So I think I want to do that so that I can at least then build to the floor, because at the moment I'm literally just off the floor, but if I get another one I should be able to build at least to the floor closest to here, but it may not be all the way out to there. And then I might extend it a little bit further out again and see if I can get to the other side. If I can, this is going to be quite an outrageous base. Effectively, the taxes at the moment for this base, or the current land I've got here, is 14,000 Solari, which to a multi-millionaire is not very much. Considering I can easily make that in ridiculous amounts of money. I remember when I first started playing this game, 14,000 Solari seemed like a ridiculously heavy amount for taxes every 2 weeks. However, when you realise how much money you can make, and you can do it with relatively ease, like, all I would say is make sure that you keep on to your stuff. Even the stuff that you think is junk, sell those blue things for to the NPC trader, because at the end of the day, most players won't. Well, I don't know any player that would even think about buying them unless they just don't go down into the testing stations. That's the only time that they are going to buy them. But everyone has to do that, so there is just no reason why anyone's going to be buying your blue components. However, when it comes to all your other components, even the things that you don't think people will want, I the other day literally had stuff that I was just I didn't know whether to despawn or try and put them on the market, and in the end I convinced myself, let's just put them on the market and see if they sell. As far as I could say, my market is dead, and I just thought no one's going to buy them, so I literally put them all on for 7 days. I put them on at very reasonable prices. I actually put them on similar prices to what NPCs sell them for. The difference between me selling them though is I'm selling a full stack of 500 units and an NPC selling them a stack of 30. So I can see probably why people were buying them, but I did actually question once I noticed that actually most of the things I was selling were available from NPCs. Some of them were the same price, one or two of them were a little bit more expensive, and I was wondering why people were buying the one, would even buy the 500 units, because I'm thinking, well, people aren't going to be buying the full stack, surely. However, literally within days, they all went. Apart from there was one item that no one bought, and I actually put 2 of those stacks on as well. Now it could be just I just need to keep relisting them, and I probably will now that I've sold some of the other items I just didn't think would sell at all, because there might be someone out there that does want those items. However, they could also be just items that just aren't generally used in building stuff. All the stuff that's things I did actually put on there, things like complex machinery parts. Now complex machinery parts are generally used in quite a lot of component building and stuff like that, but I was quite surprised that they did sell, because I just seemed to get hold of them so easy, and that's why I've got I had 2 stacks of 500, and I put 1,000 on the market and they both sold. So yeah, I was a bit surprised by that, but hey, that's the way it is, I guess. So let's build one of these. I'm probably going to be using stuff to build the deep desert base, but I'm not too worried about that. The only thing I need to be more concerned with is So I've got plenty of spice melange, but the things that I probably won't have enough of to build some of these, to build all the components here, is the metal. But that's here or there. We can always go and get that stuff. But what I'll firstly need to do is see how much I can build here. So what I really need to do first is extend the high, and then after I've extended it, I'll do the rest. So I think I'm not sure if it's important to put it like on the edge. I think you can put the vertical ones within the area that you're actually doing it. Like, I don't have to build when you're doing it. When you're building out, you obviously need to put the extender where in the grid that you want it to extend out to. But I'm pretty sure you don't need to do that when it comes to the vertical ones. Do you know what? It's been that long since I've done this. I can't even remember. Why is he? There's a storm. Oh, there is a storm coming in. I went to like, why is he not feeling so well? Like arm up as if he's like being hurt. Alright, wait, that's storm to go past. I just want to see if I can change some sound volumes, because I couldn't hear that then, and that's because my sound for the game is very low. So please change it off. Oh, that's annoying. I was hoping it might allow me to turn the music down for me and not for you guys. Into that at all. And that's maxed. This might work. This is like a really dirty way of doing it, but sorted. Okay, I've separated my music out from the game, so now I can actually hear what's going on in the game differently. Hey, what's this music goddamn loud? Well, I swear they've changed their interface. I think the actual issue with this is the fact that the volume's on full volume. I can't tell because like the volume that used to exist is now just completely disappeared. I think that's the issue, isn't it? Okay, let's just switch everything back. Challenging today. Hope you're all having a good day and your week has gone better than mine. It's never good to fall ill, but especially when you've got a million things you'd love to do and you can't do any of it. Yeah, so sorry for deafening you with the music. It would appear I used a company called Upbeat for the license free music. Yeah, they've changed their media player. So what used to have a sound volume on it and control, now has sound volume and control. I do actually want to see if I can actually change to another company, like while this is actually really cheap and affordable, which is why I do it. The part I don't like about it is the fact that some things are about have got really finicky, and one of those things now is the fact that the volume thing's disappeared. There's integrations that I want available that I want to be able to allow people to interface with the music, which so it has to be inside. Okay. Well, technically that is inside, but I know what it meant. Okay, so that will extend our land build down. And as you can see, our land build already comes down to here. So the whole idea will be for this is to extend, to push this down even further, and it should bring it down by, I'd say it should bring it down to at least here. Like if it brings it down to here, I'd be even happier, but here is where I'd like it to be. Just because if it's here, then I can build on that and that would be useful to be able to build on that. But here's like my ideal is that it comes down far enough so that we can start building on this flat area. But we'll see. It may not. Like I could always reset it and re-extend it all out. Like it wouldn't cost a huge amount of money. Probably another 100,000 salary. But I want to see like whether or not I can keep the existing build and existing kind of where it's placement of all of this without having to completely reset it. As you can see here, like I'd never actually noticed just how far off this kind of, like it's not straight, and that's because when I actually built it originally, I built it, placed the land unit, but at that point I didn't realize how you kept the orientation perfectly aligned. So when I placed the new land claim down, when I had to move it so that I could build higher and get the maximum out of the build, I did so, but yeah, I didn't place it straight, and I thought I had actually placed it straighter than it was, but yeah, when you look up like that, you can see just how far off it actually was. Oh well. Lessons learned. Like I'm pretty much going to be rebuilding. The stuff that's here, I don't know how much of it I'm going to keep and how much of it I'm going to get rid of, because I do want to drastically change all the stuff that's used. Like this was a great base and has been a great base up till now, but I do want to build a really good base, which is perfect for a soloer, but also great if you want to use it for a group as well. I think the whole idea of this is to build something that if you needed to use it and put all utilities in for a big group, you would be able to do so. But at the same time, you could also use it as a soloer if you're like where I am in the game and you find it easy to make the money, because you won't have to worry about taxes. And the fueling part of it, again, it's like all you have to do is turn off like utilities they're not using and fall back on a reserve. That's what I've always done at all my bases. I've never had power on for everything all the time, apart from when I had like tier 1 stuff, well, low tier stuff, and yeah, that doesn't require much power. Like it's not until you get to the tier 6 stuff that you actually start to use really loads of power. Oh yes, and that is way where I wanted it. That means we now can build over here, which is what I wanted. Now I could build it further out. I did have this vision as well of maybe building it out so that it comes all the way over. Build it an absolutely humongous base for a soloer. I have a dream. You could even build a bridge over from one to the other. I did think of that, but I don't think you can extend it that much. Actually, I should check to see what the limits are. I know that I've already reached the limit for the vertical, because I remember last time I extended it, I had a warning saying you can only build one more vertically. So I was conscious of that anyway, which is why I was like, in some ways hesitant to find out how low it would actually go, to find out whether it would meet what I need, but I'm really glad it does. Let's find out. Do awakening. So you can do 5 horizontal and 5 vertical, totaling a large land claim area, but you will not be able to overlap with others. Claims aren't infinite with limits preventing. Yeah, I was landlocked for a period of time where I had to wait for everyone to exit the game. No longer landlocked. As you can tell, I was landlocked because that red area there was a no build zone. So, not that I wanted to build in that area anyway, but what I originally wanted to do was build over it. However, because I built downwards, because I also wanted to build upwards, it basically went into that red area, which prevented me from building over. And kind of I wanted to build over and on the other side, so I just wanted to like straddle over this area, but there's no way of doing that, because when you're building putting your land claims down, you can't just say, well, I don't want that area, I want to just build around it. It just basically just won't let you do it. So kind of like my original plan went out the window very fast, and then meant I had to wait for everyone to move out before I could implement the next idea that I had, which was to do what I'm doing now, and that's just build like to the other side. So you've got 2 there. So what it actually says here is you can only build 5 horizontal, which I've got 5 horizontal. Well, 5 vertical, should I say. I don't have 5 horizontal though. Does that actually mean like 5 horizontal in any direction, or does it mean 5 extensions in total? Five times 5. Okay, so it is. You can have a total of 5 horizontal claims. Add 5 vertical. All right, so you can have the equivalent of 25 subfief areas effectively. All right, okay, that's fair enough. So if I've got already now burning in the sun. I remember the days when I used to like run from that. I used to hate being in the sun, but I think being out in a deep desert where you can't dodge from the sun that easy kind of changed my whole concept of how looking at that. So what I think I'm going to do is build another 2 out to the other side, and then we can build up, because need to get a subfief, because I just need to see like where I can build, where I can't. So you reckon that goes into that red? I reckon it's just like beside it. There's gonna have to be a tunnel underneath, but I always want, like, I do want to make sure I maintain an area where people can come through freely, which they'll be able to do underneath the base anyway. And what I'm looking to do is probably build an arch over here anyway, something that will look really nice and impressive when I work out like how to do that looks nice. Because there's like, when it comes to the under parts, like as you can see with my current base, there's only like so many things you can do to make it kind of look, or do the handle the underneath and make it look like non-square. Because been quite obsessed with and agreed with what some people are turning around and say is they like hate seeing all these like boring square bases. So I've made the effort to make sure that my base wasn't just square. It had like some shape to it that was kind of like just softer on the eyes rather than just a square box or a number of square boxes fitted together. I kind of like tried to give it shape by having that hollow underneath. How I do a kind of arch with that, I'm not too sure yet. And whether I actually make this base full Harkonnen or whether I keep it the same as it is now, which is a hybrid of like a load of different components, because at the time you couldn't just change any of these components. Like now I could just go around and just, without actually having to destroy things, you can just change these to like a like for like with a different race, or even interchange it with different kind of walls and stuff like that without having to destroy it, which is great because that means that you don't have the scary potential of like taking the wrong block out and it literally your whole base just disintegrating because you've taken out the keystone that is supporting the whole build. It's less likely to happen on mine just because I've got two sides that support it. There's a column, as you can see, going up there, and that actually goes up all the way through the base to quite high. And then you've got the other side. So generally speaking, most of this is actually supported by that side wall and this side wall anyway, with supporting blocks on those. So you would actually have to take out quite a lot to take, like there isn't a keystone I don't think in the base, but I wouldn't want to take the chance that there is and find half the base kind of disappears. But I think generally speaking, like that core part and the very top part, you could probably take out the whole bottom part and the top part wouldn't be affected. Well, I don't think it would be much. That core part maybe, but the rest of it would be right. So let's go build some. I think I might have some already, thinking about it. Just can't remember where I put them. Oh, and I need to change my profile. See, I always talk about my profile, you know. Oh, you can't actually see it because I'm in the way, but you would be able to see it if I wasn't in the way. I was going about changing my profile. This is what I'm now doing because I'm actually currently in my GTA profile. Oh, I didn't press anything. Let's close that. Dude, that's better. Now I can actually do things. No, I thought I might have put a horizontal land extender in there, but I haven't. I do have one somewhere in, I think, one of these boxes. Like I built one a while back because I was going to extend it, and then I chickened out. So I was just like, oh, am I definitely going to use this? It's like a bit of a waste if I'm not going to actually do anything with it. But I've now got to the stage where I'm just like, well, I really can't see the point in building an elite desert anymore. So I think what I need to do is just build a really epic base here, and then just have like a throwaway base that's built in the deep desert. What I mean by throwaway is like I don't keep anything out there. So it is just literally a place to store stuff as when I'm out there. But only from like when I'm out there. Like I won't be taking any building stuff out there. Then I won't have to worry about like having to ship everything out there and bring everything back every week and build everything out there. I can literally just build a nice small, probably the first kind of helicopter sort of outpost. I'm probably just going to build that. don't seem to have what I thought I had, which I do. I am positive I have one. Like I did extend it once, but I built enough to extend it a couple of times, and in the end I decided not to. I only extended it the once and didn't extend it twice, but then I'm wondering, actually I did extend it in another place that I wasn't expecting to extend it, so maybe I did use it. I'm sure I did have another one though, somewhere. I'm just going to check this box, that box, and then just check the hangers to make sure I haven't left it in one of the hangers. It's always been like this. I don't remember it. It's like ages since I played Dude Awakening. It wasn't that long ago. It was just like I did play last week. I didn't play on a Thursday because something came up, but I did play on the Tuesday. But it does feel like way longer than that. And there is nice custom stuff, so when you come and join me tomorrow in GTA, I can show you around the new mansion. Yes, I did go ahead and build it. Well, I think of build it. I bought it, should I say. You didn't build it. I did customize it though. I've got like most of the stuff. I didn't end up getting like every single extension room. There's only like 4 you can buy anyway. Things like the safe that they thought you would have to buy as well actually just comes as part of the build, which I thought was pretty nice. Other things that are really impressive that, you know, they thought were just going to be for show and not actually be usable are all usable. So things like the yoga mat, which allow you to improve your mind and stamina, weights that allow you to build up your strength, which was I don't know if it's impossible before that, but certainly I never managed to move it any more than what I could set it as max when you build your character. So yeah, I've now literally already doubled his strength over the last couple of days. So yeah, all I can say is weird but amazing at the same time. Okay, where are we at? Okay, it won't be anywhere there, just like no other storage. Okay, I'll just have to build one. I was gonna go, I don't know why I was gonna go that way. I need to go and build another couple of those, like, don't vertical staking unit. Can only build one. Oh, that's because I've only got that amount of slurry on me. Even though I have millions of slurry in the bank, I don't actually have it on me, and you have to have the money on you for you to be able to use it. It's like, I don't know why that's the case, because it's not easy getting it out. Okay, we're gonna need to go to Harko Village and go and get some money from the bank. I'm gonna need 45,000 slurry. Should do it. Or enough money to have 45,000 slurry on me. I think I already have some on me, so... Oh, actually, I should just... I don't actually have it on me, do I? No, so no money on me. How much money is available in the building? That's what I need to know. I have to go back down. Actually, I tell you what, we'll get this down. Maybe a little bit of time. I think I've got like money stashed in various boxes, which is where this money's coming from, but just don't know exactly how much. So 3442. So I want to build. Time to get the calculator out. My head's not fully with it. So that is 45,000. So take away 3, 4, 2, 2. So I just need 41,578. Not a penny more, because I want to keep the rest of it in the bank. I just need enough to buy the 4 staking units that I'm going to need to extend the base out. And I'll also show you, because we're going to need to probably use a sub-thief in order to build out the next land extensions wide, because as you noticed, to build out, unless they might be actually within range to actually now build on the other side, but if they're not, we'll need to raise the land. And the only way so you can raise the land or make something that then allows it to be within the area that you'd be building in for the extended part, which is what it effectively needs to be in. You then obviously have to build up to it, and the way I did that was to have another sub-thief that you temporarily put down, just a small one, which would be tax-free if you were to leave it down anyway, but obviously you don't. And then yeah, from there, once you've built something up, you can just take away that like sub-thief, that temporary sub-thief, destroy it, and then place your extender on that kind of raised little elevated platform. Hopefully my voice isn't too bad for everyone. To me it sounds awful, but there's nothing I can do about that. What you get for getting over the flu. Mr. Bank. Or Miss Bank, because it's female.
Welcome. Would you like to deposit or withdraw Solaris?
Draw,
How much
please.
Solaris would you like to withdraw?
41,578. Such a random amount, but it's the exact amount I need to build the 4 land extenders. Like, you'd think, considering this is in the future, Yeah, way in the future, I think. Actually, I don't know what year this would be in human terms, but I'm not even sure whether it actually does follow human terms and whether humans are actually properly in it. Don't know how that works. As you can tell, as much as I knew a lot about doing, there's tons of things that I found out I didn't really know that well. What is going on now? Something is like... God. I leave it on US for some weird reason. I found that something I'm using, I can't remember what it is now, but I came across something that was effectively, the locality on it works better when you say you're in the US than when you're in the UK. So for that reason, I have it set to US, even though I'd normally always set it to the UK. Because when I actually forced it to change to the UK, a couple of things broke, and it was all to do with that. It's really crazy, like everything with a PC. Don't get me wrong, I love PCs to death, but at the same time, they are painful sometimes when it comes to the many finicky things that can go wrong that generally are just like great, but not great when they go wrong. I don't think they'll be doing any Christmas stuff in this. I'll be surprised. I could be pleasantly surprised, but I don't remember Famicom actually in any of their games doing any like Christmas stuff when it came around to Christmas. Maybe I'm just like totally forgetting, but it's one thing I like about quite a lot of games these days. When it gets around to Christmas, they always do things for Christmas or the festive period. Whether that's like do some UI to like put some snow in places you wouldn't see snow. I don't know, special like Christmas outfits and things like that. That's what we'll see tomorrow in GTA. That's what they do, at least. We've been given free Christmas outfits and stuff. So I've got a couple to show you tomorrow, which I'll be fitting out on my character. Not currently wearing them because, well, I'm only going to do it for the stream. Any other time I won't be running around in it, but for the stream I'll put it on. Did I... Yes, we built. Staking unit, good. Do you know what? I just thought then, did I actually, when I put the other one into production, I did select staking unit and not vertical staking unit. Also, I'd have to have gone back to Harco Village and got another 15,000 salary. I suppose I should have checked to see if I need to pay my taxes, but I'm pretty sure like my taxes are paid until next week. I think it's the next time that they need paying. Like I haven't been in the game for ages, but tax is due in 3 days. Yeah. So. Oh, actually, tax is due. Oh, wait, but it says paid there. All right. Yeah. Okay. No storm. Stable. Paid. Okay, so when it says paid, what it means is that's next time when it's due. because when it's unpaid, it would have said unpaid there. And you have 14 days from when it's unpaid before the Emperor's personal guard will come out and destroy your base. Assuming that you don't have, obviously, like the one where you don't have to pay any taxes. Like the small sub-thief, or the normal sub-thief. So that I don't have to come back, I will grab some building block material, whatever I've got handy. Take granite. Pick some granite. I've got a feeling we are going to need to make a platform, but I'm not 100% sure whether we definitely will. I just have a feeling we might. All depends on whether or not how close we are to the other side. We might be close enough to the other side where I might not have to build one. That's to there, I reckon. It is. It's close enough. Yay. $7 My god. I think you can only do one at a time as well. $16. Yeah, as you can tell, this as you place them down, every time you place one down, that time it takes for it to finish it gets bigger and bigger. As you can see, this is what it does. So it keeps scanning. Like, this is just a fancy way, I guess, for it to assign it to the server and get the server to recognize this area. Obviously, this is like a cooldown as well, so I don't know if anyone could like intercept and destroy it. If it, I'm assuming if you're in a PvP area that they would be able to destroy it. I doubt they'd be able to get this damaged. Like, even with the old way of using an NPC to damage it. I'm not sure if there's any way that another player could damage this in Harko, but I say Harko, Haga Basin. Because obviously this whole area is pretty much all PvE. So only very small pockets that are PvP areas. But I'm going to have to wait for that to finish before we can put on the next two. And extend it out even further. As you can see, I can only currently see that anyway, so until it recognises and builds that extra block out, I don't know where it's going to be anyway. But it could be quite interesting actually, because this will be, I'll be able to build out what would be quite a funky entrance to this. I don't know whether I build an entrance into here, but then I'm going to build an arch, so probably won't be building to here. Which is, yeah, that's going to be like literally above my head properly now. It's like going to be about there, I'd say. So I'm not going to be able to build it in this part, but I'd be able to build probably here. Build an arch from this point onwards. Depends like whereabouts it comes to, but obviously it's definitely good here. because I wouldn't have been able to place this like land extender in unless this was of the same level with that. So I just don't know how high that is from how low this would be. I've got a feeling that might be just right on the edge here. I just made up the fact that it meant I didn't have to build something just so I could have to place one of these on, because when you don't have something like this and you were trying to build out, you have to then place like one of these sub thieves here,
Sector weather alert.
and then you would build like some blocks like this up, so you got like enough blocks, and then you would place that on that. But you'd firstly need to take away your sub thief, your temporary sub thief, and let's get somewhere safe. No idea where I was going there, because it's just like I don't remember hearing all the storms. All I remember like hearing is the fact that there's a storm close, and I thought, okay, let's get moving south. But I didn't remember hearing all like the warnings of like 5 minutes or like even 2 minutes away that the storm was going to hit. Literally, all I got was the first warning: the storm's going to hit. And I'm thinking, okay, let's move out the way then. And literally, before I even really get to react, there's a storm already on top of us as I'm moving away. Because I was thinking, oh, let's get back to the base, because we'll be nice and safe there. Realistically, I should just run back into one of the holes on the other side. Oh well, doesn't matter too much. So this is what I'm effectively going to be doing on the streams for the next however many weeks. Because I say however many weeks, I don't know how long it's going to take me to build this base. I'll only be building it on the stream, because I just at the moment don't have the time to invest tons of time in the game outside the game. Well, outside the stream, so. And even during the weekends, at the moment, my priority at the moment is on doing Awakening. It always switches between games. If you ever not noticed by now, you'll always notice my priorities change based on what's going on. And at the moment, there's a massive the DLC patch that's come out for Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, and that game's got really excited because of the things they brought out and the position where I am in the game. Like, I've got to this point now in the game where it's actually the end game almost, and I've actually got almost all the businesses in place and stuff like that, so I can actually now almost switch to the other side of the game now that I've got almost to a level playing field. Like, I'm nowhere near a level playing field, don't get me wrong, yet, with the long-term players in the game, so I still wouldn't want to go up against any of the elites or veterans of the game. However, give it a little bit longer and I'm really pushing on research and stuff like that, I won't be far off it. So because I'm concentrating so much on that game, that means my other games are obviously going to take a bit of a hit. So we'll obviously still be running Doing Awakening twice a week on our scheduled streams, which are on a Tuesday and a Thursday. But yeah, outside those streams, I'm not going to be doing much. Maybe here and there during the weekends, but my weekends at the moment are planned towards like GTA 5. Because I think they've scheduled GTA 6 to now be 2 years away for at least for like PC. Or that might even be two years away for like, even PS5. I really don't know. All I do know is that it sounds like there's going to be a long wait before GTA 6 comes out. And I think the reason why they've done this DLC patch the way they have and brought in things I don't think they would have normally brought in is because they wanted to give themselves more time for GTA 6. And if they gave the fans what they've been crying for, it would shut them up and keep them happy so that they can carry on working on GTA 6 and get GTA 6 to where they want it to be, ready for release, rather than bring out something that's like not quite really ready, or at least in the place that they want it. So yeah, I think that they've, like, the patch they brought out for the DLC is absolutely amazing. It really is. They've delivered really well on it. Like, if you ever want an example of a video games producer that brings something out that is really good for their player base, then you just only need to look at that DLC, what they brought out, and then look at what the community were asking for and what they've always been wanting and stuff like that. And I couldn't, like, from my initial stuff that I've seen, there isn't anyone that I've seen at the moment complain about anything that's in the DLC patch. I know it's like only been a day, and we're now in the second day since that patch came out. However, it's just that good. It really is. It's like ridiculously good. So as you can see, the land cane unit did come down lower than where I thought it would actually. So this could be a potential entrance here that we could use. Have to work out how we'd use it there, but my other thought would be to have one up here anyway, because we're going to extend it out to here as well, all the way to here. We could potentially use all of this as well. As you can see, I'm rarely using the landscape, and my building is going to be built into and like utilize these as effectively like giving it the stabilization to build it big, but supported, rather than just like you can build it, but then if you were to try and take it apart, and or someone wanted to take it apart, like, you can't. I won't worry about that in Hager Basin, but at least if you were doing this out in the deep desert in the PvP areas, you would want to build a base that was like super safe, and that means that it doesn't have cornerstone blocks, that if you remove one cornerstone block, the whole base just almost disintegrates. So you basically want to build it so that if your base did get attacked, that you would basically not have any of these key stones that would be so vital that if you only had to remove a couple of them and people realized that and worked out your base, that's exactly what they could do in order to take your base down. And obviously the bigger your base anyway, and the better place the bigger you build it, and the more kind of hidey holes and all these things having it, the more likelihood is you could hide your sub thief if you were doing all of that. These obviously aren't considerations that we have to do for like here, because, well, we're obviously not building out in the deep desert, so, and we're not building the PvP area, so we don't have to worry about like any of these things, but they are still things that I always consider in a base, regardless to where I'm building it, just because I want something that, like, if down the line they changed this and turned around and said, well, we actually want now Hager Basin to be partial PvP, and they did that in the area that where my base was, then I'd want to make sure that my base could withstand like being able to handle that PvP area. But yeah, at the moment the whole of Hager Basin is literally PvE, and yeah, you don't have to worry about any PvP. However, I wonder whether they might change that down the line. Like, I very much doubt it, considering they've like changed the deep desert to half and half. It's very unlikely that they're going to change like Hager Basin to half and half, but you never know, they might. And then which areas would they change to like PvP? Would they do it where the high value stuff is, up in the top left corner in the northeast? Or would they do it like where I am, you know, one thing I always find a bit weird is like if you go into the guild areas and like in this Haga Basin, you'll get like a guild safe zone, and it makes no sense why you even have these areas in what is already a safe area anyway. Like there is no PvP, so why you have these guild areas doesn't really make sense to me. Let's build our next one. Yeah, that'll do. 31 minutes. Oh my god, this is getting ridiculous. It's going to probably be an hour by the time I get to the last one in place. Oh, I wonder, actually, we might not be able to build it. There is an NPC there. I think that'll block me from being able to... Oh, I might cancel that. Until I actually know. Yeah, and you can cancel these if you want to, once you've... Pick it back up, and that cancels it. Yeah, I'm just wondering actually whether I'll be able to build, because one thing I hadn't noticed and didn't think about was NPCs. And there's an NPC thing here which will have a no build zone on it.
Where is everybody? Engaging enemy.
I think this is in the area that I want to put another sub thief. I wonder, where's that thing? So that'll come to there. Yeah, that's a no build zone. We'll have to wait for that one to finish, but I've got a feeling that's gonna encroach on this no build zone area. Oh, for Christ. I did actually notice, because I was actually going to build that way, and the only reason why I didn't build that way was because of the same reason why there's an NPC just there. But no, I noticed that one and thought, oh, that's fine, I'll just build across, and I could do the dream that I always dreamed of, like building across over here. But the only thing now is I'm not going to be able to build out quite as far as I was going to. At least in this area. I could still put one here, I guess, but I might put off just putting it down until I actually know whether I could use this area properly. See, that definitely encroaches on that, I'm pretty sure. Maximum area reached. Oh, it was going to let me place it down, but now it won't. I think it's bugged. It should let you build 5 by 5 by 5. So basically you should be able to build like 25 blocks in total and build a massive square if you wanted to. So far I've built height-wise maximum, but as you can see here, at the moment I've only got 2 wide. So I should theoretically still be able to build 2 more this way if I wanted to, which I won't be able to again because I'll be limited by this because there's a no build zone there. Don't know why they've built that there, because they've got that windmill thing there. I was gonna say, that make no sense why they've put no build zone like right through this block, but I hadn't noticed that, if I'm honest. But that's not what's blocking me. That would block me from building any further out. But I should be able to put another one in here. Which, at the moment, it's going to let me. If I logged out and logged back in, it probably would let me. I think that's just a bug, because I'd stopped the previous one from settling. But I'm not going to place it down right now anyway. I think I'm going to leave it until I know whether or not my plan will work with where it is now, and whether I'll actually need that other one, because I'm not going to be able to build that final one anyway by the looks of it. So I think now all this stuff we've said down, although yeah, that was definitely not 35 minutes. The last one only just finished a minute ago. Or it felt like a minute ago, maybe it wasn't. But it was 15 minutes behind, and that was definitely seemed like a very short 15 minutes. But it does appear to be finished now. Maybe that's why. Maybe I have reached the maximum. Although it doesn't really make sense why it would let me before and why it does now. I don't know. Okay, well, we've got all of this down. Now we can see like what I can build in. So at the moment, my current base is in just like one of these square grids, because previously I built high vertically because that was all I could build, because I was literally landlocked into the little block I was in. So I just used the height of where I was with all of the rocks to support me being able to build super high without using tons of foundation blocks. Now what I'm going to do is effectively extend all of this out. We will be able to make a land bridge right across, because there is a block really high up there, because you can only build 15 blocks away from a foundation block before you'll get unstable. I think because I've got a foundation block there, like I could always build more foundation. I could build like more towers effectively if I needed to. But what I would like to do is see if I can build across without actually having to build any more of these towers. There's only reason why there's a tower here is because there is actually like one of these towering rocks, and I just wanted to hide it. So I built like a shell around it so that you can't tell that there's something going through it. But I ideally don't want to have to build anything other than ones that are like that, because I want to try and keep it nice and open and free area. So this will just be a completely open area in a certain way. I haven't thought about how to design everything completely, but this is kind of going to be a bit of an experiment as to the best way of doing it. But yeah, I would like a bridge from one side to the other, and then build the big base right in obviously all this square with using all the height, having easy drive-in access and stuff like that. People will still be able to get through my base, so it won't be blocking people. There's still the big area here that people will be able to get under. Like, to be fair, there is like no one, I don't think, hardly anyone that's actually in my server anymore. Most of them have left Dune. Even like when you go to the deep desert, where it's a mixture of all the other sub areas or sub servers, you hardly ever bump into people. Like, what I would say is, in the last month, I've bumped into more people than I've bumped into for like the last month before that put together. Like, actually, to be fair, since I've been out of deep desert the last month, I have seen way more people than what I'd seen when I first hit the deep desert, and about a month after launch. So there certainly does seem to be like more people around. Whether it's just because people are less hiding these days, I don't know. But I did go through a month and I didn't see one person in the deep desert, no matter where I was. People were talking local, but you never seen anyone. But recently I do regularly see people, so I'm just trying to think about where to start with this design, because this is like pretty big epic thing. But or whether I'm going to keep any of this original base. If I want to keep any of this original base, I'm going to need to use this base as, you know, to build off this base, because it all needs to fit together. And if I start two bases, they won't conjoin to each other because they won't align. So I think based on the fact that this base isn't straight, this base is going to get knocked down. Sadly, like I do really love my starter base, which is what this is. But the problem I now have, which I only noticed today, was quite as bad as it is just how misaligned that is. Like, it's not even slightly straight. It's like really off. I don't know how I got it that bad, and why I've got a random block as well. Like, you could, this is one of the reasons why I always say build for sub-thief in your hand and not use these blocks, because sometimes when you're placing, you don't realise that you're laying something down that's outside of where you're trying to build. And that's what's happened twice here. You can see one with a roof part there that I've managed to place outside somehow, and a floor piece there. Which you have to be quite close to do it, because it won't just select. It's not quite, that's far too far away. I thought the one there was like pretty close, but apparently it's not. Alright. Okay, well, I think I am going to build with the Harkonnen set, so I should have a certain amount of blocks already available. We are going to have to definitely go out and get a ton more, but we've got enough to probably get started. And as I'm going to build from scratch, I think I'm going to build from the other side over to this side. So I'm going to make sure that when I start building, I build aligned. And the easiest way to do that, when you say if you've built your sub-thief, and after your sub-thief you've decided that you want to move either the sub-thief or you want to move the ground block that you've defined, and you worked out where the center was. The easiest way to refine and align your whole build, if you want to make sure that you align and use the maximum amount of space, is to literally go to wherever your corner is and place a corner keystone there. And that will, you won't necessarily you won't keep that or need to keep that, but you can if you want to. But what this will do is it will just mean that when you build all your blocks off this, it will just mean that you've built it straight and you built it aligned, so that if you want to build right up to the edge, you will be able to do so, and you'll be able to maximize everything. And then you won't run into issues like I ran into here, because when I was trying to build, I kept running into issues where I could build at one end of the building, but because my neighbor next to me restricted my thing, and I obviously was also limited by my actual land claim, I found issues trying to like build long, because every time I built long, it kept saying that block's outside your land claim, even though I was like building in a straight line. So that was because this wasn't in a line. Now I thought it was just slightly off, but I hadn't realized it's so far off as this was, because until I built this box bigger, I hadn't actually noticed just how far off. I thought it was just slightly off. It's actually hugely off. But that's because I've learned tons since then of how to deal with this, mainly because of the deep desert base. Like, when you build the deep desert base a million times and you start to learn about how to have to rebuild your base in the tight square box that you built it all, you quite fastly learn how to line everything and all the tips and tricks that you need to do to keep consistently being able to build your base in a deep desert using your blueprint. Because if you don't, well, you'll struggle to build your deep desert base with your blueprint. So I'll place this down to start with and align it. I very much doubt I'll get this right the first time. Although I might. You never know. Could fluke it. The only way I'm going to know whether that's up to that, because obviously that goes into the ground, it will be to build another one up above it. Let me put some music on. I won't put more Christmas songs on because I don't want to bore you all to death with Christmas songs. I'm sure you're all had enough of those Christmas songs, or starting to get fed up of those Christmas songs, because we are now halfway through the month. I still love them, but I know other people can get a bit annoyed by it, so we'll switch on to some Assassin's Creed. So I should be able to see now whether that's aligned. That does actually look aligned. It's obviously not very close. It's not as close as it could be to this. It could be closer than that. As you can see here, that's like super close to this, but it wasn't super close to this. I might just with that. And this is the fun of building, like, and this is what, you know, I love so much about doing, if I'm honest, is, well, and one of the reasons why I love doing the streaming as well is because I'm very creative, so I love being able to make things. And one of the best things that I love about doing Awakening is the fact you can build in it, and you've got the PvP in it. Like, to be fair, for quite a while I've wanted to also have a go at Rust, but what puts me off with Rust is the fact that there's players that have played it for like a decade or more, however long it's been out for now, a long time. And yeah, it just puts me off joining a game that's just so established like that, that's heavily PvP. However, there have been some, I suppose, levelers recently. Because they've made some major changes to the game with its mechanics, but I don't know whether that would be enough to help a noob. I've watched that many YouTube videos now. I think I'm less of a noob than some people would be, considering I've not played the game. So if you're wondering what I'm doing at the moment, I'm just building a bit of an outliner, because I need to work out, firstly, whether or not I've put everything in the right place. And the only way I'll know that is by building across, because then I'll be able to see whether or not this fits fully into the full space. If it does, then I know that I've placed my blocks in the right place. If it doesn't, then I probably haven't. How far across do I need to go? Oh, it's like ages across. Alright. I'm not going to have to build through that. I have to build wide. As you can see, this doesn't use up any building blocks either, by the way, if you're not familiar with Dune Awakening. This is effectively just placing kind of like a pre-build intent of building right now. Like, effectively, like, this is what, when you place a blueprint is like a copy of this exact building. So I could use something that allows me to make a blueprint of my base, and then I could, once I've taken the blueprint, I can then call up that blueprint and place that blueprint somewhere. But when you go to place it, it looks very similar to this, just that it will, obviously, all those blocks that are filled, because they're actually built blocks, these are just kind of like the outlying blueprint of the blocks. So until you fill them in using resources, it's just kind of an intent to build rather than an actual build. That's getting a bit more tricky. I might have to actually build here now. At least build one block. Just because so these are foundation blocks. So the reason why it's not letting me build is because you can only place foundation blocks on ground or things that provide, because the foundation block has to be attached to something that is the solid ground that's considered like a foundation. And a foundation is generally like anything like these, because this is any of this rock is seen as a foundation or something that foundation can work with. But as soon as you don't have something that encroaches in on a foundation block, it will not let you place it. Hence why I can build up to here, because each one of these blocks so far has gone through something or been rested on the ground. Thank you, Platinum, for the follow. Hope you're having a good day. And effectively, what I'll do now is I'll just build some roofs, which doesn't require any foundation, but this will be limited by how many you can build. So you can build, I think it's 15 blocks away. It's something like 15 or 10 blocks away. And effectively that is just outside. So how far outside? That's by about an inch outside. According to that, I don't think I've got an inch to play with on the other side, because I was pretty much up to the boundary line that it lets you build anyway. So if that's the case, we could even move everything in slightly. Yeah, like there's no way I'm getting that inch back off that. Like that is as snug as it's going to get. You can't build a foundation. You can't build any block any closer than that to like the edge of your land claim. As you can see there, like I could probably get a little bit more on that in comparison to that, but not much. But this one, there's no chance I'm getting any closer than that. Like we could even try now below that. Gonna get some water in it. Wonder why it's not letting me build. It's because we're move further inside. The foundation block is going too low. It's going below this level. Can't change that if I raise it, although it only lets you raise it so much manually. Let's just enjoy that a minute. Just need to destroy that, just because that'll interfere with me trying to see if I can get it any closer, but I don't think I will be able to. I think where I built it, like I've never managed to get it to go any closer than that before. It's like pretty tricky to build it any closer than it was anyway. Like you can see there. Like I can use a slow down. I've got like a throttle on my mouse that allows me to slow down movement. It just takes away some of the DPS. it uses. So that's like, I don't think that's any closer than it was. It might even be further away. Yeah, that's actually going into that block there. Yeah, I just need to go and get some water because else my character's gonna die first. I'm assuming I've got water here. I really... Oh my god, I got no water. I have got like the slightest bit of water here, and while I'm in here I'm safe because I can't use any water up because this is water sealed in here. I do have a still seat that's got some water in it. It's like, so this is like one of the great things having a still suit. Normally if you're out in a deep desert and you've got your still suit, you can then use your still suit to get your water back. As you can see there, it's still, it gives you enough to like re-survive, but you would certainly be scampering back to wherever you need to go to get your water. That's why it's only just enough to keep you alive and hopefully get you back to where you are. Still suit back. I might have a watering jug actually that might have some water in it somewhere. I think I'm gonna need to go and do some water. Do one of the things I rarely do. Like, I'm gonna show you something now that I think we're at night now, so I think we'll just be going into where we get dew starting to come up, and if you do the dew run within the first hour, you get the maximum dew, which is effectively a really good way of getting water if you're just coming into the game, because when you're just coming into the game you won't have all the fancy things that I've got that allow you to make water really easy. You'll have to like get these plants. Now you can drink directly from these plants if you're very low on water, just about to die. However, you're limited by how much you can have because these plants are effectively poisonous. So if you have large concentrations of it, it would effectively poison you. But this game doesn't allow you to get that poisoned. But what it will do is only let you fill up so much, which is why at the moment it says it can't drink. But if that was to get when that bar goes below that first dot on the left hand side where the water meter is, then that effectively is the kind of maximum part, and after that you would then be able to drink. But you actually still have the maximum, so once you get up to that first dot, that's it, you can't drink anymore, regardless to whether you drank the whole amount of water up to that point or whether you've just drank a sip. It's kind of just basically a limit of how much you can get from drinking it directly. However, if you've got one of these kind of like what I call it as a reef, like in the same way as like farmers use to cut hay, that's what these remind me of. These are like water collectors in Dune, and you can use these to effectively get water from these, and you have to firstly wait for these to get like a mist over them. So that's just started to get a mist over them now. We're now in the prime area of getting this, so we should effectively be able to get the maximum amount of water that we can get for this particular reef. You've got to bear in mind that you can get better reefs than this, and I think this is like a very low level one, so I'm not getting much water out of this. But what you can see is it's actually filling my container. I'm going to turn my shield off, so I don't really need that anymore. I've got a couple of areas around here where I can do the water stuff. Go to these plants. There's some more over here. It's funny that I never did any of this until literally I got to the end game, and as a starter player I was like, what the hell, why would I want to use that? It seemed like a ludicrously weird way of getting water. However, afterwards, after doing this as an end player, and I was like, wow, you actually get this amount of water from like using a low tier one. Wow, if you were doing this as you were going through the game, it would be really good. Now, I was just like one of those players at the very start that didn't think this was a good way of making water, but actually if you're just starting out in the game, this is the best way for making water. Forget doing it the way I used to do it. I used to go around collecting the blood out of bodies, and that's how I used to make water. But that way is nowhere near as good as this way. Especially if you've got a good container. I suppose that's the limiting factor, I guess, when you're starting out, is that you won't have a container that allows you to farm a lot of this, and you'll be restricted on how much you can pick up in one go. And that's where the blood capturing and processing way of doing it is better, I guess. But when you're an end player and you've got a container that's pretty decent, then this way's a pretty good way of getting water. If you're like me at the moment and you've I'm basically in between like Deep Desert and Haga Basin, and because I don't spend any time here and all the resources I literally set up, I'd set up for the Deep Desert, and now I'm back here, it just means that actually all the water making facilities that I previously had, I don't have here set up, and I'm reluctant just to set them up while I'm rebuilding the base. So I'm probably going to need to make a bigger reef so that I can do water capture here as an intermediary step. Because as you can tell, I've done what are quite not hugely big areas of it, but I'd have expected to get a bit more water than I have got. They changed it. It feels like they've changed like the amount you used to get. I swear the last time I did this outside the peak zone, because now we're past the first hour, or the biggest peak. So once you get past the first hour, and this isn't like real life hours either, this is like in-game hour time, which is about 2 minutes or so, I think, or the first 5 minutes I think it is. Once you get past those first 5 minutes, it then goes out of like the peak zone where you get the maximum amount of water. I think there's like something crazy between 20 to 40% more water if you get it in the first hour when the residue first starts building up. So there's a significant amount extra water that you should be able to get. Now, even considering the reef I've got here is pants, I've expected to have got more water than I have done out of it. And the last time I did do that, I only had to hit the one below my base, and I literally filled up my container. I'm wondering whether they've changed the buff on that, because that does seem crazily lower water than you used to be able to get. It would not surprise me that they've changed it, but I'm just wondering whether or not I picked up the right one. Like, I don't think I've got more than one. I only kept this one because I thought, oh well, it would come in useful if I ever need it as an emergency backup. Like now. But this is like, I don't even know. I don't even know what level this is. I think it can't be any more than tier 2. I'd be surprised if it's more than higher than tier 2. I should make a I should make an industrial tier 5 one probably, which we can make down here. Let's see if we can make one quickly. No power. Did I turn it off? Enabled. Why am I suddenly out of power? How long's it been out of power? I didn't even understand like why that's happened. The only thing that's changed is the fact I put some land extenders on, but they don't take up more energy, as far as I'm aware. Or do they? Don't know. Maybe they do. So these are the industrial ones. Now I can make one of these, and the stats on these, so obviously use more power, but see, that's the one I think that I had upstairs. Yeah, so that is the one. 1.6 square meters, water yield 1.25. If you compare that to then a Mark V one, which is 6.3 meters with a water yield of 4.9, that's way more higher. So I'll make one of these. Just got to bear in mind that it's going to be using some of the resources that were meant for the deep desert. But like I said, I'm not building out anymore, so I'm not too bothered. It's just that I'm already going to be short of some of these components to build here anyway. So it's just about taking note of like what it is using, so I'm slightly aware of things it's going to impede on. Let's build one. Now we'll be able to get some decent amount of water. I'll fill up the container and then we'll have to worry about water for a little bit. New reef. We'd still be able to get some water because we're still at night. Obviously we're not going to get the maximum amounts that we got before, but we'll get way more because effectively we've got now an industrial one. This thing should be literally reeking up the water. Is there like, it's mist but like no water. I swear they've changed the spawn on that. They used to like if respawn faster. It feels like they've changed the mechanics around water dew. See the water drops on that one? Those water drops weren't visible on the other one, even though you could see the residue above it. Okay, well, we got more water out of that than probably the whole of the field combined in just that small little one. I'm not sure whether this other one's going to be empty now either. I'm suspecting it is. There's like no water dew droplets on any of the little plants. That's disappointing. Oh, and I've filled on that one as well. All my go-to little areas are getting taken up. There's one over here.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
I heard it that time. Sandstorm. We'll just find cover wherever we are. That's half filled my container. Love it. Love it. Love it. I think I've seen some more around it. But they're not dew plants, but these dew plants. They're literally only 300 off. I've got like way more water than I need. Like the full container itself will last you, even the deep desert, a couple of hours if you're using it in the deep desert sun with constant heat stroke. it'll keep you alive. So yeah, we've got shade around here, so I should be able to just, like, you will use more water than you would do if you were in a water sealed area, obviously, because you don't use any water up. But and my voice is now starting to completely go. So we can get back to building anyway, or planning to build. Yeah, so that's as close as it's going to get. So
A large sandstorm is approaching.
I've got a couple of things I can now do if I want to. When I build with a lot of the Harkonnen stuff, you'll notice the Harkonnen stuff, generally speaking, will start big at one area and go either small or large, depending on how you use some of the orientation. They have like special build blocks that have ramps. And those ramps allow you to, if you invert it, build it normally, it'll make a big pyramid. And if you invert it, allow you to build from like a small area up to a large area. When I first started building with them, I did it automatically invert them because I liked the idea of being able to build something that allowed you to build wider at the top. Mainly because I was building it for like as an ornithopter kind of landing pad. But then I did start using it the way you're meant to use it, and then start building it in like the normal way, uninverted. And yeah, I suppose it's just like how you prefer it. Like I actually like the silver on the outside, but then when you have the base and you're actually in it, the silver is actually nice on the inside. Like, to be fair, the Harkonnen base, if you're a big like Atreides fanboy, like I've seen plenty of people go on about how beautiful and, you know, gothic the Atreides look, and I won't disagree. Like they did look amazing and still do, although it has worn on me a bit. I actually prefer the Harkonnen set, even though it looks more rustic. It might be also because I watched a few documentaries on the concept and how he came up with the architectural design of like what formed the basis of like the Harkonnen architecture. And then what you see in the game is just like almost like the tip of the iceberg of what they built, and some of the concepts and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, yeah, I've just fallen more and more in love with it the more I've kind of got into the Harkonnen side of things. So I've kind of like not completely walked away from the Atreides stuff, but yeah, I certainly like it less than I used to. And I love the Harkonnen more than I kind of originally did. That I used to think, why is the Harkonnen set so crap? But now I'm like, no, I actually really like the Harkonnen set. So we've got our base blocks, and I know these are as close as I need to the wall. I'm going to keep them at least 2 blocks away from the edge of the wall, because that'll give me options when I'm building. If I do want to build out, I've got a little bit of playroom with doing stuff like that. And some of that's to do with, like, as you look at the very top of my base up there where I currently have my carrier ornithopter, it starts low and goes high. Now, one of the problems I ran into when I was trying to build that was, like, I built originally that bottom part really far wide, but then I couldn't put these things in. So I had to take a block off either side to be able to put them in, because they go out. So having a bit of like room, either 1 block or 2 block, if you're planning to do something that does come out in any part of the design. And that's one thing I do actually want to try and play with. I want to see if I can actually make some kind of like, if you look at them normally, kind of like a square that's on its point, and something like that, rather than just like a square block. Because one of the things that players used to complain about was having people building, and they were building just like square blocks. But that's just like square landing blocks. I want to see if you can mess around with trying to make square blocks that are on the inside like just flat, and you obviously you can use them normally, but on the outside they appear to be like on their corner edge. So I want to see if I can play around with something like that, and do some like really weird and fancy stuff. Like this is going to be very outrageous build, what we're going to try and do with this, and we will just like experiment to see what's possible and what's doable. And this is really just a shell of our base, because at the end of the day, this is just to store and allow us to give us stuff that we can then use in whatever way we want to use it. But I also want to try and, like an architect or a structural engineer or whoever it is, because normally it's the architect that will come up with the outrageous idea, and then the structural engineer go around and turn around and say, well, that's not possible, and then dash the hopes of the architect. So I kind of obviously want to play as both, obviously the architect in the sense of like come up with some outrageous design, but the structural engineer in me is going to have to obviously bring in check like what's possible, and that's obviously going to be the game mechanics itself that will dictate what we can and can't do. So what I'll do first is I'll just build some foundation blocks up the center of this, just to give us something to work off. And for now, I'll place a couple down. I'll just fill some of these in. I'm not filling them all in, but just filling in a couple of them in. And at some point I will not build them. I think that's not letting me build it because it's below the landfall. Although it should actually. Not enough materials. Okay, that's why. I have got like tons of the Harkonnen building blocks, but they are all stored actually in a ornithopter and in, I think, the buggy as well. And whilst they're not actually in one of the main containers in the base, it won't see it in the build inventory that I've got at the moment, which is why it's doing what it's doing, which is fine. This is all temporary anyway, so I can just destroy these ones and make some granite versions. So the ones, when you're using Harkonnen and the main Atreides set, these all use like these plastone. But when you use like one of the, like, I'd say lesser factions, they all use granite stone. If you're building out in a deep desert, it's really important that you do build with either the Harkonnen or Atreides set, because this plastone is more hard wearing than the granite. So if you build with the granite, while your base will probably last a week, well, that's what some people say. However, other people say that it doesn't. I've watched a few YouTubers who have tried to test this, and I haven't seen anything conclusive that's turned around and said the granite base would fall down in a week, because someone has shown that if you build it with granite, it would, while it will take a lot of damage, way more damage than the plastone, it didn't take excessive amount of damage that it died in a week. So I don't know whether it could be down to the storms, and whether if the storm keeps hitting more regular during 1 week to the next, that might actually cause it to decay faster. And that's just down to luck. It's down to that week whether your base is built in a place where more storms come through, or whether you're lucky and you build it in an area where you have less storms. And if that's the case, the one with obviously less storms is going to take less damage than the one that takes more damage because it's in more of a storm zone area. I really don't know. Like one thing I will say is I've had weeks where I've hardly seen any storms in the deep desert, being out there the whole week, and then I've been there in the same place a week later, and where I'd seen no storms a week before, I've seen like 4 or 5 of them all hit my base. So it's like, it's completely random, and I do think obviously the more storms that are hitting your base, that's going to cause more damage. We don't have to worry about that here because your base here doesn't take any damage as long as your shields are up, and for your shields to be up just means you have to power your base, so don't worry about that part of it too much. So that's why, like, I would be happy building like with even like the Chome set here, because especially like the Dune Watcher one, like the Dune Watcher one is a really nice set, which the Dune Watcher, oh, the Dune Man, Dune Watcher. It's because there's another one actually which you get from the Twitch drops, which is called the Observer pack. Now the Observer pack is a really nice, again this is granite, so if you're build, you wouldn't really want to build it out in the deep desert. However, you know, it's in some ways it's advertised for the deep desert, the Observer one, even though it's still granite, so who knows, maybe the granite ones definitely are okay in the deep desert, or maybe you might have to repair your base halfway through the week, who knows. Like, I suppose the people that know, the people who've tried it. I've never tried it. I've always built my base in either the Harkonnen set. Well, actually, in the deep desert, I've only built with the Harkonnen set. So I can't say even, like, I know the Atreides would be fine because it's using the same build material, but I don't know with regards to the, like, the granite from my own personal experience, because I just never have done it. So I want to go probably and get, I probably want to go move some stone around, but I'm not sure I'm going to actually move any stone around for now. I'm just going to make the blueprints for now of where I'm going to build, but I just want to build these up so far. Oh. Used my claw to get up the top. Yeah. Okay. This is all temporary, so don't start panicking. You're wondering why I'm building this. I'm literally building. This is kind of like my scaffolding for what I'm going to build. Because there was one thing with all of this, when we're building like this and we're building such a big base, you kind of do need almost like something that you can build off without actually being the building itself, and that's kind of like what I'm in at the moment in the process of building. I'm building that scaffolding. I've got my blocks there. So the important thing of like what I originally mentioned at the very start was of like placing these blocks down was in order to find the center, make sure I get to a place where I can build off and know that I'm using the maximum amount of area I could use. I've already established that. So now that I've got these blocks here, which are basically going to be my building off blocks, I can lose all of this now because I know that I'm in a good spot to build off and everything should be straight. There is a check that I will be doing later just to double check to make sure that I have built everything straight, but so far everything looks like I've done it right. But we will have to get a bit further into the build to realise whether or not we are definitely straight, but I think from everything I've seen so far we are looking straight. The biggest telltale sign will be when we're looking up here, whether or not we start to see this warping away from that wall. But the problem with this sometimes is the fact that you have to be quite far away to actually rarely see it. Because when I was building this, I thought the same. I looked and it looked straight, but I was close up. It's only when you're this far away that you can see and go, yeah, that's not straight. So it is a bit tricky sometimes, but I have got better at doing it. And like I said, the most important part is to find a corner and look at the corner, because from that corner you can generally work out whether or not it's straight. So far, everything I look at this tells me that looks straight, because it gets no fatter there based on that height there. That looks the same gap from that side to that side. It's like not obviously big or obviously going thinner. And while it's not like a million miles away like it is there, because that's way further away and it would be easier to spot there, that looks like it's levelly flat. At least it does to me. Like for me, I think I should be able to spot if that wasn't flat. And I'm pretty sure that is flat. Make sure I've got no blocks there that I need to remove. Okay, that's my main. My scaffolding. As you can see, you can build directly through this. So if this was much thicker, I would have problems trying to place a block in between this, but because this is a relatively small tower in rock, it's not too wide, so it can let me place the block inside it without too much difficulty. But sometimes if you'd place this and this block was like, say, way fatter like that block there, you would struggle to get a block to go through that. So you just have to build up higher to get to a point where it's less wide, that allows you to span across it. Or if anything, you'll have to build around it at first, and then maybe place blocks and just leave a block that would be in line with the next block. But there we've been fine, we can just build straight through. So this is probably going to be, like, I will change the blocks, and we can change the blocks simply by going to replace. And when we go to replace, we can actually just directly change these blocks to Harkonnen blocks or Atreides blocks, depending on what you really want. But we can just directly change like for like. And as you can see, we gain back the granite of what was there, and we would have used the Plastonian stone in order to do that. So I'm not going to change them all, because obviously I don't have enough of the base unit to change them all and continue to use Harkonnen stuff. But what it does mean I can do is I could make the whole base if I wanted to, using some of the at least main components that are like for like swaps, using the granite stuff, and I can just later change them to Harkonnen. It's a very nice feature, and it came out probably 2 patches ago, where they brought in that feature. They slightly changed some of the building mechanics, and they also changed the way that you select blocks and can copy blocks, because they used to have literally a copy option in the menu. It's no longer that. For me, like, I change all my buttons, but for me, I can just press like the mouse scroll button, and that will, once I'm selecting a block, and that will duplicate that block. Not directly duplicate it, will just allow me to take a copy of that block I've selected, and then I can use that same block to continue building. So in that way you can see it's changed to Harkonnen. But if I then select the other block next to it, it'll then change it away from Harkonnen, and now it's back with the granite one. always press the wrong one. Don't know why. Bad habit. Okay, let's build. Let's see whether or not we can build across. So I should be able to build out from 2 locations there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to see how far I can build using non-foundation blocks. And this is going to test to see whether or not building across is going to be possible. I'm hoping it is, without having to use like a bridge in between, but we'll only find out by trying. So when we get however many blocks out it is, I think it's 15. I really can't remember what the number is, but we will eventually get told you could. This isn't supported, and that's effectively because it's so many blocks away. So this is the maximum. So how many blocks is that? It's 1. Let's destroy. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9 blocks from the foundation block. I don't think that's going to be enough. At least from wall to wall. Like, we are about halfway actually. But we are only 1 block in, and I think this is just short. Let's see. If that's 1 block across, and the next block would be to here. Yeah, we'd need to have a foundation block here. Now the tricky thing I've got with this now is how do I join 2 sides together, or build on the opposite side with foundation. So what I'll now have to do is put a temporary foundation block in, and it'll be temporary because I won't want to keep it. Or at least that's my intention at this very moment. But what I'll now do is build out a similar thing. Oh, actually. Oh no, that's not going to work, is it? Do you know what I was going to do is build a block down here, but that's not going to work. I wonder if I can place a small sub-thief here. I'm going to now see if I can do something that... Actually, no, that's not going to work because you need a certain gap. I was going to place a small sub-thief down here so I could put a small land claim here, build up something. But then I'll have a gap between it and I won't be able to build... I won't be able to fill it out in any way. I've got like a no build zone area between what I was thinking there and what would be possible. Okay, this could be more tricky to try and join these up. This is one of the things I do like about Dune actually. When it comes to like building things, you have to work out how you can take your concept and make it real, because you'll run into the issues. You'll come up with great designs, but you'll run into issues like just make it really hard to build what you had thought of. The problem I've got now is how do I align this, because I'm not going to be able to build from this side and it'll align with that, or not very easily anyway. Every idea I'm thinking of at the moment will run into the same issues that has already, and that is there's no midpoint that I can put in there to structurally enable that to build out any further across, because I can't build from the ground down to build any foundation blocks up, because my land claim doesn't go that far down, which is annoying. I could effectively just remove the land claim that's currently down, but if I remove the land claim that's currently down, what will happen is you lose all of the money investment that you've done so far. So I've probably spent 100,000 Solari, which is pocket change to me. However, it's the pain of having to place it all back down again. And I always said if I had to replace it all back down, I'm probably going to move from where I am. And I do want to see out trying to see whether what my initial thought idea was when I first moved to this area is possible. I'm sure it is, but it's going to be like not easy to do. My current thinking is I start building from a point where I can join on to that somewhere. And it's just going to be the biggest guess ever as to whether it may align. Like this, it has to be in the exact position for it to snap. Which is why it's near impossible to do what I'm going to attempt to do. Trying to think, is there a different way I can do this? I can't build a foundation block out, and like even if I build one extra foundation block out, it doesn't really help me. What would help me is being able to build down. Which I can't do. I wonder if... Let's place a block here. I'm going to try something. This is like untried, but who knows, it might work. This doesn't have to be perfectly aligned, but I just want to see if I can trick it in some way to think, even though I don't want it to snap together, if I can just get it to rest on it in some way. I don't know. I think I want to move it across a little bit. Like where those second blocks are that I've just started building up, that's probably as close as I'm going to get it. Just because trying to place the foundation block's the most awkward part. And I can't build any closer than that without, well, with staying within that bottom boundary. It's way harder than it should be. I'd say that like one more block should be as level as it's going to get. You see, these will not line up, but they're about as close as you can line them up. And what I could do now is, because I know that's the deviation of what I need, I could work out how to place a block now using that deviation. Effectively, my character's hip height off and my character wide is how far the deviation's off. So I could work out how to place a block like that and replace it, and that was my idea of trying to work out how to line it. This might be possible. It's still not easy, but possible. I just need to work out how to now place a block like that. So I place that there. Because ideally I need to place all of that stack back. But also have a place where this stuff doesn't snap to it. So I'm going to need to somehow build it away from this block, but then build it back on the block. If that makes sense. That should give me my new block. It's too far away, so it won't let me build lower, but if I think that very corner there is in it, so if I destroy that, it should stay. Yeah, just. If there was no like land, and when I just destroyed that block, this block would have destroyed as well. But because there is something that is touching the ground there, which I think is just that very, very corner part there, it's stopping that foundation block destroying itself. Okay, so now using this block, I should be able to separate this out. So I can destroy all this. To destroy all that. Now I need to use one character lower. So I just need to off-align it enough, and by a character wide, so it needs to be slightly wider. So maybe if I'd actually kept it where it was, because I only moved it by about that much, maybe where I put it originally would have actually aligned with it. Who knows? Let's say there's like one character. No, that's more than one character wide, I think. Yeah, that seems too wide. But this is the idea. Bit of guesswork. And this is only going to help me with 2 of the dimensions. There's also a 3rd dimension I haven't addressed yet, which was also the distance, which I didn't take that measurement. I should have done, but if I can get this part right, then I can always deal with the other dimension afterwards. That feels about the right width, like it might be very slightly off. Then it had to be lower than that by hip height. So hip height would be, at the moment that's higher, but we're talking about the lowest block. I would say if you get that pretty much bang on with where it's at, like, I think that might be pretty close actually. We'll have to check. We'll have to build it and see whether or not it does align. But I think that might be actually pretty close, if I'm honest. I think that the issue with this where it is right now is I forgot to obviously take the 4th dimension. So it's probably going to be too short or too long, and I'm going to have to then measure that. If you do any of this and get it slightly wrong and slightly move it off this direction though, we could get this perfect, and then when we try to move it back or forward, we offline it again. But what I'll do is I'll put a holding block that holds, once we get like the position right this way on like width ways and the length ways, then we can always use other blocks to hold that position for the width and then the height. So each of these things we can put a block somewhere else that we don't destroy and that we keep in order to hold that position. And then what we'll have to do is then try and combine all those feeder positions if we have to hold them separately. However, if we can get 2 of the angles right, then we can save that block somewhere and then just mess around with the final one. So it sounds really like tricky, this, but there is method in my madness. This is like very advanced building. I've never built like this. I'm like making this up as I'm going along, literally. Like, I think this is too low, but is it in line? And how far, if it isn't in line, is it offline? Oh, that is pretty close. That's not far off. So we're looking at about a whisker. We're looking at about an arm, a character's arm width or thigh width. Not much. Okay, that's actually closer than I thought it would be at the start. Only when I built up did I think I was actually a lot closer than I thought I was. I thought I might have been further off than that. So I just need to bring it back this way, literally by a character's arm. So destroy that. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to build a foundation block right next to this as it is, purely because it will snap into position once it's so close. It has to be like quite far out for it to not snap. As you can see there, just as it gets anywhere near it, it'll just snap straight into it. So what I'll do is I'll use this stone as a guiding pillar as to where we'd build it, and then I'll build it off that. This might help us with might be able to reposition the height a little bit as well. I also noticed, did it go over or under? I can't remember. I think it went over, didn't it? Oh, actually, no, it went under, so it needs to go higher. I think that has the gap I need. I think that's a bit too close. There's an arm's length. If I fill it in, does that look like an arm's length? It doesn't look straight. That's what it doesn't look. Demolish. Demolish. Because I rotated, and when you start rotating, it's instead of hiring the block, I rotated it, and I thought I put it back to where it was, but I obviously didn't. The only thing when you're building on a day, yeah, drink free water like nothing. That's not the right position. Needs to move over a little bit. I think it's just too tight there. Use my rock as a guide, but rotated it. I think I've only rotated once. I'll be able to tell when I put it blocks close. That looks like an arm width. That looks like the right distance. So I'm going to go with that, I think. It's also further back as well, so it might fluke and get the length right. I don't think I will do, but if I can just get one of the dimensions locked in, then we're one step closer to doing the near impossible. don't know. I don't like how they've changed the mechanics of like you can't like use other. You can't use like your grappling hook and things like that if you've got a building tool in your hand or anything in your hand that has multi-use. It's a mechanic that they changed only a couple patches ago, but I find it really frustrating. I know why they've done it. They've done it for the PvP side of things. I don't disagree with why they've done it. I just find it annoying for other reasons. Oh, this looks aligned. Oh, look at that. That's like, that's got to be an inch off.
A large sandstorm is approaching.
It's only let me place the block because it is literally, it's the right distance. So we've got two of the actual angles locked in. We've literally got the left and right is perfectly aligned, and the distance from it, from side to side, is perfectly locked in. The only thing that's off by an inch is literally the height, and it is literally just like, well, I don't know how you describe that. What, an inch? Like, it's just obviously a noticeable difference between the two, but because they're not actually joined, because they won't be locked, they won't be supporting each other. So we do need to get, it's not just for aesthetics while we're doing this, we do need it to generally join together.
A large sandstorm is approaching.
A structural part of the design and everything else for it to work. I need to get somewhere next to a rock, somewhere where I'll be protected. I can't believe that. We've got two of the angles locked in this fast. I was expecting this to take hours. This is normally why I'm always a bit reluctant to do building on a stream, because I think for people watching this, how entertaining or how much value does this help other players or people who would want to watch a stream watching someone build? But it can, like, you are seeing some of the challenges that you have to go through in order to do this stuff. My character is taking damage. When he just noticed when I've watched him there. And you used to be able to repair whilst you were taking damage, but that's a mechanic they also recently changed. So you can no longer, like, as you're taking damage in a storm, heal yourself until you get out of the danger zone as such. Luckily, storms around here don't quite last long enough to kill you unless you don't have enough health at the start. Luckily I was full health. Have to repair back a bit. Yeah, I'm super excited now. I can't believe I've managed to lock in two angles and can join what I thought was nearly impossible. We have literally got the only thing that's not perfect on that, and why they aren't actually connected at the moment, is because we don't have, they're just slightly off on the height. So I just need to put a lock-in thing now. So this here will become our save block. Well, actually I'll put one a bit further out, and that'll become our save block. Now I need to mess around on the other side and try and bring everything down by an inch, because that's just how far off. It's like the smallest inch as well. It's like not even, it's like from the top there, we're only needing to bring it down by like that much. It's like only there to there. It's like such a small amount of space. This is going to be tricky. But we should be able to verify whether or not it's done by comparing it to this block. Just need to work out how to do it now, I guess. I suppose, yeah. This is a bit of a trial, I guess. Because I also now need to bring it down. If there's only another way that I could... I'm trying to think, is there a way that I can bring an inch in? I don't think there is. There's no building blocks that allow you to change. Well, there is one building block that allows you to mess around with moving it from left to right and stuff like that. But there isn't height-wise, because you can use a triangle block when you're building. These triangles aren't fully a square, so if you build that and then say, I don't know, build 2 of these, you'll notice that it's actually just an inch off. So there is a way of using these triangles, and you can offset things using triangles. If you were obviously off by how much you could use the angle off variance, then theoretically you could use that in order to reposition it and keep blocks in the same place. But there is no blocks that allow you to change the height variances that I'm aware of. The only way of doing it is literally by doing what I did the first time, and that's eyeing it. I can't believe we are so close. I've got a feeling this next part's going to be the part that takes hours, and that is trying to eye this. So if I use these rocks as my guidance, effectively, actually I've come up with an idea. I've got an idea, because this wall might help me place a block without placing a block, if you kind of know what I mean, because effectively I can use that wall as a structural part. I can get it to not lock to this, and I could have theoretically maybe used this as an easier way of moving it. Don't know. I've got a couple of ideas in my head. I just don't want to spend hours on a stream. You guys watch me how I did it. I'd rather kind of just spend hours myself doing it and then show you guys a time lapse on YouTube, which will be an easier watch for you, rather than you spend hours watching me work out how I'm gonna get this final inch off. I'd like to say it's easier than what it will be, but it's really not, because I can't, like, if this block's away from anything, I can change the height, but as soon as it's locked like that, it won't let me change the height, and I only need to bring it down by the mildest inch. So it's just how I do that without moving anything. I think what I do is I take a screenshot of this and then I use the rocks in order to align everything, and the little bit of grass there. That'll help me know whether it's in line on here, and then I take a visual screen of, say, that screen at the back. So if you notice there, even the background is obviously the rock there, you can use that as a visual guidance to make sure everything's perfectly aligned. And then when I think it's in the right position, just drop it down by one drop, and then build it all again and see whether it fits. That's literally all I'm going to be doing. So rather than do that live on the stream, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end today's stream, and I appreciate everyone for joining us today. if you obviously do have any questions in the future or even now, do feel free to ask in chat whilst obviously stream's going. But obviously if you have any questions after, just leave the comments in the comments below. I do respond to all comments and stuff like that. If you have any questions or anything like that, then do ask. But yeah, today's stream I'm going to end now, and I will be streaming again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be in GTA 5. So we won't be back in Dune now probably until next Tuesday. I do normally do stream over the weekends in whatever game I'm heavily involved in at that point, because this is just a bit of a side project, but a big major side project for like Dune Awakening. I would normally be doing Dune Awakening, but because of all the action going on at the moment in GTA, I will be in GTA over the weekend. So we will be streaming over the weekend in GTA as well. But do catch us again tomorrow on the live scheduled stream, which will be starting at 8 o'clock in the evening. We'll be back in Dune though on Tuesday at 7 o'clock again on Tuesday. So thank you very much for joining us, and I will see you all then. Thank you and good night. And when I realise that I'm in studio mode, but night everyone. Obviously do consider subscribing if you do like the content, etc. But yeah. Weird end screen, that's because I don't have anything set up for that screen, but thanks very much, good night.